welcome everyone. It's Chris Petri, and thanks so much for coming by. We're going to do a beautiful Extreme Beginners video. We're going to create this gorgeous house scene here in the mountains. We're doing the glazing technique, so we're going to have a lot of fun explaining that. We cover everything in detail here on this video. So if you want to know about the glazing technique, we'll take you step by step through it. The first washes, the middle washes, and then the final details of the painting. We'll explain it all in detail. We'll also cover really a good amount of the drawing. So we'll explain how we create our shapes for our house here, this mountain house, which is simple squares, rectangles, triangles, and I think that's about it really. Couple, different angles with our rectangular shapes, but for the most part, pretty straightforward drawing. So we'll kind of explain that, how you don't have to be an expert with drawing to do this actual pencil sketch with this house here. It's actually, I'm going to break it down into smaller parts so you can kind of get it done. And so let's get started, okay? Let's go. Okay, so we're getting started again, and we just saw the finished painting. So we're going to draw the house here. We're going to start off just a pencil drawing. I have a 6B pencil. Office pencils work great. You can use retractable pencils. Any old pencil works great. The first thing I'll do, though, before I start pencil drawing, I'm just going to spritz the Prang set here, or oval 16, Prang oval 16 watercolor set. Just a little bit of a spritz of water just to activate the paints a little bit. These are semi-moist paints, so they're really soft, and a couple little spritzes of water and they just become perfect to paint with. Takes only about a couple minutes and they're ready to go, and it's the Prang oval 16 set here. Easy to find online, not too expensive. And I'll be using my normal inexpensive watercolor brushes that I use on a constant basis on the Extreme Beginner series. And these are Princeton Art and Brush Company, except for this one. This one is a Simply Simmons round brush, but they're all synthetic. Synthetic's really good if you're just starting out. They're inexpensive, and they don't hold as much water as natural hair brushes, and that can sometimes, for newer students, that can be a problem if you have too much water on your brush. Paintings can get a little sloppy and messy with too much water. So if you're using synthetic brushes like these, you're going to have a better chance of having more good-looking, pleasant-looking paintings when you start out. So I'll put these to the side as we do our pencil drawing, and we'll get started with our painting very soon. We're not going to do, again, you saw the finished painting, not an incredibly sophisticated drawing or anything like that. And then another thing we can do is what I do is I just tape down my paper. I peeled this off a pad. This happens to be Arteza paper. I think I have the pad over here. Sometimes I don't always have everything on hand here, but this time I do. But this is what the paper looks like. Arteza 32 sheets. Really, really good paper. If you want to bump up and have some really awesome paper, not tremendously expensive, but it is a little more expensive. But if you're just starting out, you can use the inexpensive papers, the student grade. But if you want to kind of once in a while pick up a pad of paper like this and just check out, see how that really good paper feels when you're painting, you'll see it really does make things a little easier when you're painting. And what I'll do is I'll take up a mat here and put this over my sheet of paper, and I'll just draw in the rectangle here on our paper. So this way we know exactly where we're going to paint. And then if we want to frame this, all we have to do is take this mat and put it over our painting, put it in a frame, and it's all set to go. And you can hang on the wall or give it as a gift, put it in a competition, whatever you feel like you want to do, that's fine. But putting a good rectangle with pencil around your painting will give you that exact rectangle you need to have, so that when you do put a mat on top of it, it's going to be the right size your painting will. And it's always good to maybe go a little larger. So what I like to do is maybe I take a ruler and I just go another pencil line wider. So I'll make it a little larger like this. So I'll go around. First I'll make my matte window pencil line. Then I'll go around with another like this, just so I have a little larger of an area that I can maybe have some wiggle room when I put it into the frame and when I put the mat over it. This way I might have a little more room to move my mat around like this. If I find that I need a little adjustment, I have a little extra room with a little more painting there, and then we can just go with an eraser and just maybe lighten this one up a little bit, this line here, the first one that we did. So that's all I'm going to do is take that first line and lighten it up, and when we're done with the painting we won't even see that first line, but that'll be just to help to know that we have to at least be that size in our painting when we're doing our drawing and painting. So that's all. And then we'll start our drawing. And we're going to start off with our house here. And I'm going to leave it, no, this is halfway. So that's about halfway in the painting, so we're going to be over here. And then we'll go over another bit here. So I would say halfway. We're going to go a little bit beyond halfway, and that's going to be where our house, the gable of our roof will be, the ridge of our roof. And we're going to just go with just like basically a triangle. A triangle works fine, like that. That'll be our roof. And then we're going to come down and do our walls over here. Like that. Okay, so we have our walls there. And then maybe over here we have another bit of roof here. So that's a little bit of a hill coming down here, and this will be the foundation of the building here, where the stonework or cement is, the bottom of the house, like that. And this will continue to slope down like that. And then over here, I'm going to have a porch, so we'll have this over here. Okay, so we're going to have a porch there. That. And we'll have our roof over here. So you can kind of see I'm just putting in a couple details. Basically, this is just a rectangle here with a triangle on top, and then another rectangle over here, and then another rectangle here. And I just, since this is a roof, we're going to have more of a angled shape there to the roof. So that's about the only thing that's going to give you trouble on this over here. Is this little bit of a, you can just see it's a little bit of a slope that way. So it's a little bit of an angle. You can hold up your pencil and kind of look and say, it's about that angle, and you can make it less or steeper, angles like that. So as long as you get it close, you're going to be good there. And then maybe we'll make a chimney over here, too. So chimney there. And there is another, let's see, there's another feature over here. Maybe there's a dormer up here. And once we have this dormer, I think we'll take a break here. So, okay, so let's take a break now, and then we'll start back up again. I just want to take a break as I'm doing my drawing, and then we'll come right back. All right, so we're getting started again here. We're almost done with our drawing. I'm going to see if I just turn the light down a little bit, if I can, just so you can see the pencil lines a little better. I'll go over this again with a darker pencil line once we're done here. So I just wanted to, we're going to go with the same kind of angle over here with this dormer over here. And I think that looks pretty good. I think that's not, we should make this a little bit smaller. I think I made that too large there. Let me go with a smaller. Like this. Yeah, that's better. Like that. So we have the ridge up here higher. That looks better. And same over here. I think this is going to be. Like that. And there's another chimney over here. Like that. And then we're going to have a window over here, like so. And another window over here, like that. Okay, so I'm just putting in some windows and everything looks pretty good. Now I'm going to go over with a darker pencil line so we can kind of see. I'm just going to go right from this side over here and then just start going in with a dark pencil line so you can kind of see how I'm going to draw this in contour drawing. So I'm just going to start in this one spot on the left side of the painting and just keep going right through. So I'm going to go this way across here and then down here, there, and then make some more hills down this way, like that. And then I'm going to come up here. Okay, so I'm doing the foundation now. And I'm just tracing over my lines. So if you trace your lines in the beginning very lightly, as you draw things, you can take your time a little more when you're drawing in the beginning to trace things lightly so you can adjust if you need to here and there. And then once you have that really light trace, once you've traced it very lightly onto your paper, then you can go over like I'm doing with a darker pencil line, because you might like that darker pencil line on your drawings and on your paintings. I certainly do. I like seeing the pencil lines. They look good. They give it more variety, I feel. So, but this is again a pretty fun, straightforward painting. And you can see I'm just getting in the windows now. And I'm going with these darker lines so you can see how I'm drawing everything and all the lines that you need to draw in. I might have left it lighter, a little bit lighter, but I want to definitely have this dark so you can see that, and then you can draw right from this portion of the video. You can hit pause and draw from this, or do a screen capture. It's totally up to you. So I think this is pretty good. I think we have a few more things we can do. We can make some trees in the back over here, and even some lighter ones over here. And there's maybe some trees over here too as well. And there's a distant hill there. And then over here we might have a couple of rocks maybe. Have a rock here. So we can have some interesting things going on here in the foreground with some grasses and weeds. We put some weeds and grasses over here like so, and I think that looks pretty good. So I think everything looks pretty good at this point, so we're ready to start painting. So again, I'll take another quick break and then we'll come back and we'll start painting this, and we're going to do this in a glazing technique. So we're going to have a lot of fun doing that. We're going to get some really lots of water and paint on here, so we'll do that next. We'll be right back. All right, welcome again, everybody. And if you're just here for the first time, I just wanted to mention welcome and thanks so much for coming by. We're doing Extreme Beginners series here, which is trying to keep things simple for the beginner. So if you're just starting out and this is your very first time at this video, I'm glad you're here. You're going to have a lot of fun working with this Extreme Beginner series that I've created. I've been working with this series now for about 6 months. So each week we have a new Extreme Beginners video or two sometimes. And the basic goal of it is that everyone that's starting out in watercolor, you can basically get your first-hand information here and learn the basics on that on this series, the Extreme Beginners. So if you see Extreme Beginners in the title of my video, then you know we're doing more simplified works, and you can also work on my other videos that I have that are more advanced for advanced students, but Extreme Beginners is going to give you more of an advantage if you are just starting out. So I'm glad you're here again if you're just here for the first time, and we're having a lot of fun. We're doing the glazing technique again, and and I always mention, if you subscribe on the right hand side below, if you hit that subscribe button, that just means that you'll get our new videos every week. So you'll be alerted on YouTube that our new videos come out on Extreme Beginners video, and then you'll just see it in your YouTube screen when you open up YouTube. So that'll be an excellent thing for you to remember, so you'll be able to see our videos each week as we work. You won't have a hard time finding them at all. So let's start out. First thing, as we do the glazing technique, remember, glazing technique, we've been doing this again for I do the glazing technique very frequently when I paint. And all it is you're just going to paint light washes first, let it dry, and then go over the top with darker washes. That's basically the simplified explanation of it. So we're going to take this wider flat brush we have, and we're just going to wet the paper here and there on the sky area, and right across the house too. We don't have to worry. But the thing is, we don't want to wet every bit of the paper. Leave some spots without water, but get that fresh, clean water. And again, notice my water is completely clear, fresh, clean water. You wouldn't want to use any water that has any mixes of paint in it for this first wash. When you're starting out on this first part of the painting, when you're just starting out doing your first wash, you want to have crystal clear water. No muddy water at all. And then again, you just put some fresh, clean water across the whole paper, but not everywhere. You leave a couple spots with no water, possibly here and there. Like, you don't have to do everything, just get a good amount on there. And then you add a little more to the top area again. So you kind of go and work your way down the paper. Then one more time up top, just add a few more splashes of water up here on the very, very top of the page, the top of the sky, like that. Okay, and that should be fine. Then we're going to get our sky wash going. So we're going to get our blue like that. That's kind of like a cerulean blue, and a little bit of orange here. So I add a little bit of orange over here. That's going to be a little bit of a warmer color to kind of balance the blue, like that. Maybe a little bit of blue up here too, like so. And we're going to make this a wonderful sky wash. So that's what we're going to do now, is pick up that light blue and then just start putting it onto the paper. You can go right over the top of the house, here and there, but not everywhere. So that you can kind of see how I'm making my start here. Then over here, I'm going to add some of that orangey color. So we don't want to make everything blue. Let's change it up a little bit over here. We're going to do a little bit of that orange Very subtle though, not too much of that orange. You can kind of see it's very, very light, almost like a brownish orange, like that. You can even add a couple of touches of that orange over here too, like that. And then some more of that blue down here. So you basically just want to cover the whole paper like this, and then there's some warmer bits over here. And again, doesn't have to be everywhere. And the basic idea is we want to keep this looking with lots of floods of water on the paper. And that's really makes it a wonderful looking start to this painting. And then you can go in and get a little, maybe some purple. I'm going to use a touch of purple with a little bit of, that looks good, a nice light purple, and maybe just a little bit of that too. But you have to do this really, really quickly. You have to have, better to have the, maybe you have these paints mixed before you start with the clear water. Does that make sense? So maybe before, I got the cart before the horse a little bit here. Before you start adding that clear water to your paper, maybe you mix these colors first, have them ready to go. This way when you're doing your clear first bit of wetting the paper, as soon as you're done with that, you're right into your colors and you already have them mixed and you're over here, you're adding them in. See how it took me longer to do this? Because I didn't mix my colors first. So try to mix your colors first, then wet the paper, and then you'll be ready and you just go right in and start adding your colors. And this way you're not letting the paper dry at all. You're getting that right on the paper as it's lots of water on there. So I hope I didn't throw you off a little bit on this one. But I know you'll forgive me if I didn't do the steps correctly here, but we kind of have to sometimes work quickly and we don't always catch everything perfect. Okay, so I think that's good. So you can see it's a very, very super light wash over everything. And then what we'll do is we'll come back next and do our darker washes over this, and you'll see how it's going to be a beautiful looking painting. Just with adding in some darker washes over the top. And you can even take some greens down here for the grass areas, just to start maybe putting in some, just get some color in there. Just a little bit of greens maybe for the grass colors and the trees maybe too. Like that. But that's it. You only have so much time to work and then you have to let it dry and you can't go. So this is it for me. I added those little bit of greens just to start those little bit of green colors going in. But trust me, now's where you have to let it go and let it dry 100%. And then we'll come back and we'll start doing our darker washes. And as you can see, plenty of water on here. It looks like that perfect looking watercolor painting with lots of water. Okay, so we're going to be right back and we'll start our darker washes. We're just going to have to let this dry. You can either let it dry a couple hours on its own, or you can use a hair dryer and dry it with a hair dryer, and it dries off quickly, and then you can start working again in like 5-10 minutes. All right, we're getting started again. So we let our first wash dry completely. I used a hair dryer, so it's nice and dry. No wetness here. It's all dry for the most part. And again, with the drawing, we said in the beginning you saw me draw it super lightly. Then I went over with a darker pencil line. And again, this drawing is nothing really super difficult. In basic terms, it's a square. So our house here is a square, a triangle on top of a square, and then another rectangle here, and then basically another rectangle here for a chimney. Over here another triangle there, and a triangle over here, and then another rectangle here and another rectangle there. And that's basically, and then another triangle here, and then another rectangle here, and then another rectangle there, and then that's pretty much the hill coming down this way, and a few straight lines like that. And then, of course, some windows, rectangles. I think we had a window over here, a window over here. So basically, don't let it fool you that you think, oh wow, this house, it looks so difficult to draw. I can't draw that. You can do it. It's just simple shapes again like this. So if you have to draw a sheet like this first on some printer paper, kind of work it out a few times so you kind of get the feel for it and the shapes and where they are and how they fit together by looking at the painting and the drawing here, and you'll have it. It's very, very straightforward. So now we're going to just do ourselves a favor by mixing our paints ahead of time, so that now when we go in and start doing our next wash over the top of our first wash here, we'll have a lot of those colors mixed already. So let's do that. Let's get our blue. We had some blue, maybe some more blue up here. We had some purple, so we have that there. And then we're going to go with some oranges over here, some reds. Let's mix up some cool, or some warm, I should say, interesting warm colors to mix into our, so I'm going to put some greens up here. So we have some greens with some brown mixed in there too, some browns and greens kind of mixed. So now you can kind of see we have a whole really good array of colors here. So now we can go in and let's start doing our, we'll start with our house area. And you can just add in there's some green on here. I'll change my water. So I just changed my water, so now I have more fresh, clean water. I can rinse off my brush, and we'll get some blue on here. Green's fine too. You can add green like this, and green and blue. And that's all you have to do is just start taking all these pre-mixed colors you made, and you just go up and down, side to side, and you add in some different colors. Let's add some purple in there, put some purple in there. Let's get some of these, a little bit of reds and oranges maybe, just to kind of spice things up here a little bit, make things interesting. We don't want to kind of have a boring, just one or two colors in our painting. Let's mix up all the colors in here, and we'll add some more of that with some green. So some greens and some reds, and I'll put some of those greens and reds there too. And we're going to keep working these blues right across here like that. And maybe a little bit of blue in this roof over here. Like that. And if you see you need to blot something up, you take a tissue and blot up a little bit of paint. And some yellow too. Some yellow in there. And some blue and purple. Like that. Okay, so you can kind of see I'm working in all my colors, and we're going to get some more of these greens here for the ground area. Greens and some of those browns, a little bit of brown mixed with green. And you can kind of just mix around your brush, have a good time with it, maybe splash a little. So I'm going to add some splashes to my foreground here. And then you can add some blue to that too. And purples and stuff like that to kind of mix it all up. You can leave some areas lighter paper like that. Then maybe some yellow over here. let your brush dance around on the paper. And some cool blue and purple for the rock here. That. And we can do a little more splashing over here. And over here, maybe some blue and purple. Mix with a little bit of green. Kind of get some mountain colors over here. So when we're making these trees over here a little cooler, in the distance, these trees here and these a little bit cooler, bluish green. And then these can be a little more yellowish green, so I can add a little more yellow to that, like this. And again, let's add a little bit of orange and red into our foreground in our landscape area here, where we have our brush and trees and a little bit of splashing. And I think that looks pretty good. And let's see. Next we will make a little darker of a mix here. Let's take our paper towel. Let's take a quick paper towel and dry off one of our sections of our palette like so. Now this is where we're going to make some darker color, some richer, less water, more paint. So let's try that. Less water, more paint. So I rinse off my brush, dry out the water from the brush, and let's go in and get some darker paint there. A little bit of purple, a little bit of blue, a little bit of brown. And let's just see if we could add a little bit darker wash here. Maybe up here it's a little darker. The wash is up here and over here. And if you have to, that brush is getting a little bit large to try to do these smaller sections, so let's get our round brush and just get in there and do it with the round brush. Always try to use as big a brush you can when you're working around your painting, but then when you get to smaller sections and smaller shapes and things, then you grab that smaller brush and say, okay, I give in. I'm going to use the smaller brush now, because that larger brush is going to give me a problem. I'm going to wind up going over lines that I don't want to. Now over here I'm just going to add a little bit of a darker bit of color, and I just lighten it up and bring it down like this. And I go around that window maybe now at this point. And that's all. And then maybe over here too, there's some darker bits of, and I meant to mention this, that we're painting into the light here. And that means that basically the light is coming in, is like we're facing into the light right now. So the shadows are basically all this side of the house. And I always try to mention to give yourself that little insignia at the top of your painting like that. And then we just fill it in a little bit like that. So it's kind of like a light spotlight. And then we put the light like this. And this kind of means that the light is coming from this way. And then we can kind of, it makes more sense. We have a little easier time figuring out where the shadows are going to be. So I'm going to add a little more brown, purple, and blue, just so I have a little bit of a darker mix here for this area over here where the roof is. that. A little bit darker there. Like that. And then we're going to make a chimney over here, so we're going to add a little red to this. And we'll just make a small chimney like that. And there's going to be a shadow there for our chimney. So we're just going to put a chimney like that. Shadow there. And then up here on the top of the roof, there's another chimney up there. Maybe this one's a little more orange. We'll put one up there like that. And we'll get some of that purple. And we'll put a shadow there too. Like that. So we have a couple interesting shadows with the chimneys over here. And we're even going to get some more details in here too as well. But I think this is really where we want it pretty much. You could stop here and it'll be fine. But let's try to do a few more details to this, but I don't think it's going to be a lot more. I'm going to add maybe a little bit of a darker red down here by the foundation area. And mix that up with some more of this. Just like this maybe. Give it a little more of a reddish kind of brick looking kind of color for the foundation of the house. And we can always go in with a little more of that reddish color too, and just a couple of those kind of spots like that. All right, I hope you're having a great time. This is a lot of fun. We kind of we're keeping it real simple, real basic. And again, the first super light wash was our first glazing, and now our second glazing, we're just working in all of our medium tonal values, our medium to darker washes now. And then we're at the very, very last point here, we're just kind of going in with those darkest darks with using almost zero paint and just using zero water, and almost using nothing but straight paint here to get those dark reds and dark shadows like the purple and blue for the shadows for the chimneys. So you can kind of see how we're kind of working our colors and our washes, keeping them looking good and accurate. And then I think we'll just come back for a few more details. I think some details in the windows might look good. And I think that'll be fine for this, and I think we'll be complete. So let's come right back in a few minutes. We'll let this dry a little bit now and set up. Maybe half an hour this can dry. If you have a hair dryer, you can dry it off in 10-15 minutes or 10, even 5 minutes, and it should be good. Okay, so we'll take a break, and then we'll come right back and finish up. Hey everybody, just a quick informational. I'm really excited. I've been invited to the Thousand Island Arts Center to teach a workshop this summer. It's August 9th, 10th, and 11th, which is Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And it's a daytime workshop, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. We're going to have an absolutely fantastic time. I'm going to put up the itinerary in just a second too as well, but I wanted you to have the Thousand Island Arts Center phone number so you can call to register, or you can also register online. That's up to you. Their phone number is 315-686-4123. Again, their phone number is 315-686-4123. Or you can also register and look up all the information online at TIARTSCENTER.org. Again, their website is TIARTSCENTER.org. center.org. I'll put the itinerary up here so you can I'll scroll it. I'm not going to read it. I'll just kind of scroll it up so you can kind of see the class description. And you can look this up online too. I encourage everybody to look for the brochure. If you go to the website, you'll see a brochure button. You click on that brochure button, you'll see my course, as well as other courses if you can't happen to make these dates, but you still want to take a watercolor class or watercolor course and workshop. And there's also an online course for watercolor artists. So if you're interested in doing online watercolor courses, they have those as well. That's something this is a great resource, everyone, for your watercolor art. I know some of you mentioned that you wanted to inquire about online art and watercolor painting classes. I'm not doing them right now. I'm really looking forward to maybe in the future doing some online courses, but right now I'm just not geared up for that right now. So they have them though for those that want to do online courses. But just a great resource, and beautiful historic area, beautiful scenery, water and boats everywhere, beautiful architecture, shopping. There's museums. So that's the itinerary. And I hope you'll all make it out to the workshop. And again, we're going to have a great time, tons of fun drawing and painting in watercolor. So I hope to see you there. And let's get back to our watercolor painting. Okay, so let's get finished here. I found this small brush I have in my studio. I've had it for probably 10 years. It's a shader, Princeton and Art Brush Company shader number 2. It's like a rectangular, like a small square brush. And I'll use that to do some of the windows. You can use a round brush too as well. This sometimes works pretty nicely too. So I'm going to do a couple of these, maybe square type shapes here. And then I'll go in and get some of that darker wash too. I like to put that darker wash under the tops of the windows, like here. That's usually where you have most of that shade, kind of darker color on the windows, right below the, you could add some blue and purple, maybe a touch of brown. Get a good dark there. That usually looks pretty good. Like that, a couple. Like that. Same here. I think that looks good. Like that. Sometimes I have a bamboo pen. Sometimes I can scratch out a little lighter too. Like that. But I wouldn't get too much more fancier than that. I think there might be a little bit of a darker shadow up here, like that. There. And maybe there's a little bit of some kind of a wood tone here, where these the trim is on the gable ends of the roof here. There might be a little bit of that brownish gold orangey trim for some wood trim colors over here, maybe too, like that. we can certainly add a little bit of railings maybe over here. We could take our, we could use our Simply Simmons number 6. Get some of that bluish purple, just nothing too dark. Best thing to do if you're doing fine lines, get your brush loaded with some paint and then dry it off a little bit with a tissue first, then go in and do some fine lines, and you might find that it'll be a little easier because there won't be too much paint on the brush like that. So you could do a couple. Like that. And we could even do maybe a figure or two. Let's maybe use some brown, some blue. So some blue and brown. Maybe we'll have a figure over here. And you just make it like a carrot. Like that. So that's somebody there. We'll do the body first. And then maybe we'll make another figure next to that one there. Maybe we'll go with more of a reddish color. We'll do like we'll do a figure over here too. Like that. And then maybe some brown for some hair. Just like that there. Another couple figures. And again, they don't have to be fancy. I would do the least amount of work possible. I would draw, I would just use a brush and I wouldn't even draw it in, and I would just do the basic shape of like a carrot and then a little top on it, a little round dot on top of the carrot. And that pretty much works for figures. 2 figures there. And they're maybe, they're on the porch, they're talking, hanging out, they're maybe having some lemonade on a nice sunny day. And we can do maybe a few birds. Let's do some birds in the sky here. I don't think I'm going to even worry about drawing or penciling those in. I'm just going to do a few. So maybe I'll do a couple birds here. So I'll just remember to. I kind of always have my game plan with birds. I make them all different sizes, large to small. So the closer they are, the bigger they are. As they go in the distance, they're smaller. And I always remember to make them flying in all different arrangements. So if I'm doing birds, one's going to look like this. One's going to be like this. Another one might be like that. Then maybe another one might be like this over here. So I have them going all different ways. So I'll try that. This one here might be like this. And this one like that. And that's all. A couple birds like that flying. Even a couple more dots. Just a few dots here and like that. And I think we have a finished painting. We can even put on the mat over top. See how that looks. That looks fine. So I hope you're going to have a great time with this. Enjoy the process of painting this with the glazing technique. It's really a lot of fun, and then once you get toward the end of the painting, you can take your time and just do those little tiny touches in the very final parts of your painting when you're doing a couple of those darker areas like the chimneys and the figures and the window, the shading in the window and things like that. So in the beginning it's easier and fun. You're getting in all those light washes of paint. Then it gets a little more challenging. You're trying to get in all these different colors, and we kind of talked about how you have to mix those in first. And so you had a great time with me here. Try this once, twice, try it 3-4 times. Do some different color mixes maybe. Change around some things maybe. You can shift around some of the walls on this house, make it look a little different. Maybe put this by the ocean, so you could put this near like an ocean and make an ocean behind it with some boats. Instead of it being a mountain scene, you can turn it into like a shore scene with a shore house. So it's all up to you. You can take just this very simple basic design of something and then kind of change the backgrounds a little bit to make it you know, something you might enjoy a little more, like again, like a shore scene or maybe a winter scene. You could make things more like with snow, not as much greenery and things like that. But in any case, we'll see you on the next video and tutorial. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.